before there was a North or South. Long before Kim Jong-un, before communism, before the DMZ, there was simply Korea. And it wasn't just a region, it was a proud, unified civilization for over 1,000 years. From the ancient three kingdoms, Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla, to the powerful Joseon dynasty, Korea had its own kings, scholars, inventions, and a distinct cultural identity. They even created Hangul, their own alphabet, something very few civilizations have ever done. For centuries, Korea maintained its independence, even as it served as a tributary state to Imperial China. But in the 19th century, the tides of empire started to rise. Western powers, China and Japan, began eyeing Korea like a strategic chess piece. Korea tried to keep outsiders at bay, earning the nickname the Hermit Kingdom. But isolation wasn't enough. The brutal Japanese occupation, 1910 to 1945. In 1910, Japan officially annexed Korea, beginning 35 years of brutal colonial rule. Korean language, banned in schools. Korean names, replaced with Japanese ones. Cultural identity, erased. Tens of thousands of women were forced into sexual slavery as so-called comfort women. Millions were conscripted into forced labor for Japan's war machine. But in the shadows, resistance grew. One rebel stood out, a boy named Kim Song-ju, later known as Kim Il-sung. He fled to Manchuria, trained as a guerrilla fighter, and caught the eye of the Soviet Union. The stage was being set for something massive. World War II and the division that changed everything. 1945 to 1948. In 1945, Japan surrendered. Korea was finally free, but only for a moment. To avoid post-war conflict, the US and Soviet Union hastily agreed to divide Korea at the 38th parallel. North Qatar Soviet Zone, South Qatar US Zone. What was meant to be a temporary administrative split became permanent. In 1948, two rival states were born: North Korea, led by Soviet-backed Kim Il-sung; South Korea, led by US-backed Syngman Rhee. Both claimed to be the real Korea, and both prepared for war. The Korean War, 1950 to 1953. The Forgotten War. On June 25, 1950, Kim Il-sung invaded the South. The Korean War began. Within days, Seoul fell. The US and UN forces intervened. General MacArthur landed at Incheon, cutting off the North's supply lines. US troops pushed all the way to the Chinese border. Then, China entered the war with hundreds of thousands of troops. The fighting grinded into a bloody stalemate, and over 3 million people died. Entire cities were reduced to ash, while civilians suffered unimaginable horrors. In 1953, an armistice is signed, but peace was not truly enjoyed. The DMZ was born, a heavily armed no-man's land that still divides Korea today. In fact, the war never officially ended. Kim Il-sung and the rise of a dynasty, 1953 to 1994. After the war, Kim Il-sung didn't just lead, he became a god in the eyes of the state. He built a cult of personality so complete that citizens were required to display his portrait in every home, wear loyalty pins with his face, and listen to radios that can't be turned off. His philosophy, yushe, or self-reliance, became law. It was a mix of nationalism, communism, and total isolation. Citizens were ranked by songbun, a hereditary caste system. If your ancestors fought for the revolution, you rise. If they were landlords or fought against it, you were doomed to a life of poverty or prison. A nation behind the curtain. For decades, North Korea survived, thanks to massive support from the Soviet Union and China. The government controlled every aspect of the individual's life. Your job, your food, your clothes, even your thoughts. Foreign media was banned. Trying to flee, that was considered treason. Criticizing the government, you faced the penalty of death. While the South became a global tech giant, North Korea stayed frozen in time, a country built on fear and surveillance. Jong-Il and the Silent Famine, 1994 to 2011. In 1994, Kim Il-sung died. His son, Kim Jong-il, the reclusive, film-obsessed dear leader, took power, and then came the collapse. The Soviet Union was gone, aid vanished, and crops failed. North Korea plunged into the arduous march. A famine so catastrophic it killed nearly 3 million people. Citizens ate grass, bark, rats. Many starved to death on the streets, but the regime survived. Through fear, prison camps, and silence. Part 8. A Nuclear North Korea, 2006 to 2011. In 2006, Kim Jong-il detonated North Korea's first nuclear bomb. It was not powerful, but it worked. Suddenly, the world had to take North Korea seriously. Of course, sanctions followed. Yet so did more tests. By 2009, North Korea had long-range missile capabilities. It had become a rogue nuclear state, unpredictable, dangerous, and proud of it. Kim Jong-il's health faded, and in 2011, the next heir took the throne. Part 9. Kim Jong-un's rise, 2011 to today. Kim Jong-un inherited the throne at just 27 years old. The world assumed he would be overthrown, but instead, he proved to be more ruthless than anyone expected. He executed his uncle. He assassinated his half-brother with nerve agent in a Malaysian airport. He accelerated the nuclear program. He built ICBMs that has the capabilities of reaching the US mainland. And he created a brand new image, a young, tech-savvy dictator who plays the international stage like a game. Part 10. The Summit Shocks, 2018 to 2019. In 2018, the world watched in disbelief. Kim Jong-un shook hands with Donald Trump. He stepped into South Korea with President Moon Jae-in, and talks of peace filled the air. But little changed. Negotiations stalled, sanctions stayed, and North Korea returned to missile tests. It was a global media moment, but not a breakthrough. Part 11, COVID and total lockdown, 2020 to today. When COVID hit, North Korea shut everything down. There were no flights, no trade, no aid, no defections. The country became even more isolated. Satellite photos showed a nation falling deeper into darkness, but the regime, it was still in power and was still testing missiles. Part 12, what does North Korea really want? At the core, North Korea's goal is simple: regime survival. The nukes, the propaganda, the isolation, they are all designed to protect the Kim dynasty. North Korea believes that without nuclear weapons, it would be invaded. And history has taught them, never trust outsiders. They've made the world choose between war or containment. Part 13, life behind the wall, and a sliver of hope behind the dictatorship are 25 million people, living lives we barely understand. Some still believe the propaganda, others secretly watch smuggled USB drives with foreign films. A few risk everything to escape, crossing mountains, rivers, and even minefields. Every year, a few hundred make it out, and their stories crack the regime's illusion. And as long as stories can be told, there is hope. Conclusion: why North Korea still matters. North Korea is not just a Cold War relic, it's a living reminder of how fragile freedom can be and how powerful fear can become. It's a mystery, a threat, a tragedy, a ticking clock. And one day when the curtain finally falls, the world will watch and wonder how it lasted so long. If this helped you understand North Korea better, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe for more history without the boring bits, and comment below, what country's history should we cover next? In under 30 minutes?